Oh, it's easy. Just be like water. How the fuck do you be like water?
Shift happens.
We're recording.
Ah,
can
hey,
start.
boom, boom. Welcome back.
Shift happens.
Shift happens. It's been a while since I was here with you last. So we left off in the last episode actually, where you kind of spoke a lot about where the break kind of happened for you, where you decided, okay, enough is enough. And I think that the whole point of today is for you to take over from where you were at that point and to explain again or more.
Exactly. So what I wanted to cover today is from the moment when I had my breaking, and then I started realizing, okay, I need to change something, and I changed there into what I call the healing stage when I started opening up. I want to cover part of this.
Mhm.
Maybe we can just sum it up what we covered the last time. So basically, where my breaking point, what happened, the 1.5 years before, where I went into addiction of cocaine and alcohol, and the identity crisis that I had in that. I covered part of it in the first episode, and I want to go deeper into that because that requires to be understood first in order to understand what kind of a healing I needed to
Okay.
do in order to become a happier person and actually to solve my issues. So that is the main task today, to explain where am I going, how the healing was, and why have I chosen the paths I have chosen for me.
Okay. So then I want you to bring me all the way back. So back to, I'm not going to say the day that you reached out for help, but let's say the coming days that went with that. How did you feel? Who were you? Well, how did you spend your time actually in that at that time?
So just a quick recap
Sorry.
on the day. No, that's good. On the day when I broke, it was still cooked up, and I wanted to end my life. And then I gave up. We had a talk, and then I opened up. And on that day, I stopped immediately with the cocaine. I did understand that the cocaine is a big part of what is causing my problems, and it's not going to solve them. So I immediately gave them away and gave them in a safe place that I cannot access them, but still made myself believe that I have actually access if I want to have access, because I wanted to have the feeling that I am still the one controlling this. And I wanted to actually also feel, is this really an addiction, or is this already the solution of just understanding me that it doesn't do me well? And from then, stopping doing the cocaine actively, still had a little bit of how to say, like it's a flywheel when you still run.
A hamster wheel, is that what you mean? Like,
No, not directly. Let me bring it like a car. So you drive 100 and then you take off the foot of the gas pedal. You're still
okay.
rolling out.
Yeah.
So that is what happened. I didn't do cocaine anymore actively, but there's still the effects of doing cocaine on a daily basis. 1 to 2 grams per day was my peak time. And that for 3, 4, 5 months, maybe even a half a year. So that's to end and to give me a clear mind took about a week or two.
Yeah.
The first days were extreme. I started writing things down, what's going on in my head. And there was so much I couldn't even write it down. In 10 minutes, there were like years going on through my head. There were very beautiful feelings and moments and thoughts, and very bad ones in the same minute, in the same second. That's how bipolar I was maybe at the time already, or very confused, and this is what was going on in my head. Like I have journals of pages of all the stuff that is going on in my head. But what I did is trying to just calm down, do the basics. I think you said, and other friends said as well, like what you need now is just tiny little things to do, very basic, very simple things. Clean up your house, make yourself organized, make yourself food, enjoy the process of doing that. And these were my days afterwards. I still had no idea where I'm going. I still had no idea where this is dragging me, or if this is, I was far away from a solution still.
Yeah, I remember back then. So I remember when I got the phone call and um I went and I seen you and you were very broken at that point. You were a broken man. And I remember it was me that said to you at that stage, I said, give me what you have and I promise you if you ask for it, I will give it back. And you said, okay, and you gave it to me. And then I hid that. And then the next thing that you were so erratic with your thoughts and I couldn't keep up with you. And I was like, you're sounding a bit mental here. You need to start writing these things down. And not that you're right or wrong, just read them over again and see how you're feeling about how you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's the same thing again, then okay, this is a point. Then we can talk about it. But if it's just ramblings, it's bloody ramblings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was like, you're never going to make any sense of nonsense.
Exactly. That's a very good point. You're never going to make any sense of nonsense. You kept saying that very often because in my head at that time, things were finally opening up towards understanding that they don't make sense. But before, I was doing weeks and months and even years of convincing work to myself that I am actually right, that this works. So even the cocaine was working for me, even though it didn't work apparently up to the moment when I understood it didn't work. But till that moment I still thought I'm on it.
I'm on it, yeah.
I'm on it. I just need a little bit more. One more day, one more week, whatever I need, and then I'm there. I reach there where I need to be, and the coke is over. When I had this realization that the coke is actually doing me really bad and confuses my understanding, and what I always appreciated very much on me is my intelligence and my courage. And that my intelligence is actually affected by the cocaine, that it confuses me. I cannot use my mind the way I would use it normally because the cocaine is actually getting so much interfered into that and makes things even less understandable than they are normally. Because I had a mental problem, plus additionally the cocaine issue, which just multiplied everything.
Yeah, like I'd say, I think one of the biggest things for you wholeheartedly was it made you robotically emotional. It didn't even mean that it was a real emotion. You weren't showing real emotion when you were having an argument with somebody, when you were after taking something or whatever. It was this like manufactured emotion that was there from the cocaine. And you were getting really like over dramatic about one certain point of one certain sentence that was said at one certain time. Instead of actually hearing that we're all agreeing with one topic, we just forgot about this, Raoul. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
These kind of things were happening all of the time. And I also remember, like, I spent a good bit of time with you around that time too. And you were writing a lot. You would just be on your phone, in your notes, just constant. Or you'd be in the middle of a conversation with you and be like, 1 second. And then you'd disappear into your phone for 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah,
well.
correct. Actually, that is because I needed that. Because I realized, so I stopped doing the cocaine. And then the next day, I realized that my mind is still extremely active. So active that I can't really control and even sit for a second and enjoy just, I don't know, waking up, having a coffee or so. I needed to do 2, 3, 15 things at the same time so that I can feel something is real in life. I mean, this was the main problem, that I felt so disconnected from everything, which caused the bigger problem and then the addiction. But when they stopped, my mind was still doing these things. So
yeah, the somersaults. Bloom, bloom.
Yeah. And all I did was, at least for a week or so, I just cleaned up house, made super easy things, super simple things, try not to stimulate my mind too much, actually just enjoying that, listening to a little bit of very easy background music and just enjoying that part. Luckily, at that time, also my roommate wasn't at home, so I had really a few days where I could just be by myself in silence. And I remember I had made myself a fish meal for the evening, and I was very happy and proud of myself that I have managed to arrive at 6, 7 p.m. and this is the first beer that I opened because I just want to enjoy now my dinner, and I didn't just drink it because of how I drank before. and I enjoyed, like it was kind of a ritual. I enjoyed for about an hour or so eating that fish and just. I think I read something in the background while eating, but it doesn't really matter. I was lowering
It's the
myself.
real. You were really starting to train yourself into mindfulness at that
Yes.
stage.
And it took maybe a week, second week, I think I was already starting to look for ways, look for answers, trying to search. And if you remember, I asked you of one of your ex-boyfriend that he was very strongly into meditation, mindfulness, energy, spirits, and so on. And somewhere I had this feeling that this is something that I want to explore deeper. Can you please get me in contact with him so I can ask him where to start? And then he gave me the contact. I explained to him a little bit in my still very confused state what actually happened to me. And then what is happening afterwards. This is exactly where we are now, that I'm starting to realize, oh, there are ways, but I need to find them. I don't know. The ways that I tried before obviously didn't work. And now I'm trying different ways. I actually said it that I'm ready. I'm ready to learn anything. If God exists, give me a sign now. If the universe has anything to tell me about life that helps me, then now is the right time, because before I wasn't ready to listen. Now I'm ready to listen. And now I'm ready to look into things like religion, spirituality. Meditation is something that I was aware of, that it helps people. And I tried before, but I was like, that's not for me, meditation.
Like one of the biggest things that I remember you saying, everything's so loud, Laura. Everything's so loud. My brain is so loud. The cars are loud. Everything is so loud all of the time. And I think that was the only one thread of, I think that was your honesty through all of the madness that was happening at the time. Like, you know, you were angry with one thing 1 minute, you were upset about something else the next minute. It was very much so a roller coaster. But there was one thread, and that was everything is just too loud. And I think when that became the case for you, you started to look at ways to silence that. And it wasn't to fix it, it was just to take a break from it. And I think that was the moment when you started to really consider more so the spiritual journey, like contacting Cosmin, talking to me, because I had not experience, but I've had quite a lot of conversations, I guess, about these kind of things.
You were definitely the closest person to understand me at that time. Even at the moments when I felt so disconnected from everything and everybody and not understood, and this was my main suffering, I felt disconnected and not being understood and not taken serious and all these things.
Yeah.
But you were still the closest one to me. We had a lot of contact. We also can talk to each other in a good way. We just have the good vibrations.
We can also,
it just works.
we can also, what's it called? We can also clash with where it doesn't become a big thing.
Yeah.
Because I allow my ego to go down when yours soars.
Well, I didn't know, but this is a good point, saying the word ego, because this is the one of the keys, I would say, that I have learned to differentiate. And what happened is when he gave me Cosmin's number, I rang him and saying, this is what happened. Can you help me find out, or where do I start in Buddhism? So he dropped two important names that I think, listening to both of them, they're both Westerners and have found through Buddhism and through spirituality to peace and became spiritual teachers. One of them is Alan Watts, and the second one is Eckhart Tolle. Both of them have understood something in life that has changed their lives significantly, and they teach, or Alan doesn't teach anymore. He's gone, but Eckhart still teaches. And just by seeing the approach that they have, maybe it has to do with Buddhism, or because something what they learn is different than the approaches that I was used to. So I'm living in a Christian society and in a European one, and we do have very strong egos here in Europe and in the West. And the Christianity, the way it is lived, has also very clear things, and they don't really leave much of questioning, or things are given by God, and it's like this, and there is no
You're not meant to question
yes.
religion. End of conversation. You're not really meant to question it.
That is at least how I understood it at the time, and therefore, and I think that's very important to understand why I needed to do, why I went the path that I went, and why it also worked for me. Because just because it worked for me doesn't mean that it will work for anybody else. My problem was an identity issue. My whole life, I thought that I know who I am, and therefore it's very clear what I need to do. Because I thought I have an understanding of the life is gonna, like everybody has some 80, 70, 90 years, depending on how you behave and other factors, but you have a limited time on earth, and then it's over, and then everything is over. For me, it was clear, as long as you cannot prove it, you cannot see it, that the person after death is really still existing, it's just not there. And the same way I handle it with God or with religion or with energies and stuff, because anything that I cannot fully grasp with my mind, fully understand with my logic, with my intelligence, one of my most powerful tools, then it's not existing. Then it's not there. And that was my general approach. Everything that I have not agreed with, that I don't say that it's all right or okay, is bullshit.
Okay.
And that was my main problem. That's why I felt so much of suffering. That's why I felt so much of disconnection. The thing that happened to me now almost 2 years ago was just a peak, but it was leading up my whole life, almost 40 years towards that point when I saw I need to change something completely on my understanding of my life. Because I tried. Of course, when I reached some 12, 13 years, I was first time confronted with the Austrian, even though being Christians, and I'm officially also Christian, I'm very much convinced that this is the thing, the biggest problem that I had is an identity problem. Who am I exactly? A little backstory of myself. I came to Austria with 4 years. At that time, there was revolution in Romania. I came with 4, and then I was a foreigner living with the Austrians, even though I am Christian and they're Christians, but still they have different things, and I didn't understand them. And the more questions came up, the less answers I had, because very simply, most people that I know that are Christians, that they call themselves Christian, they have not understood what it is about. They just follow along what everybody else is doing. And this does not work for me. I want to understand the things by myself. Now, the reason why Buddhism works for me is because they have this approach of scientifically approaching the things. Experience everything by yourself. Question. We want you to question. The Buddhists say even differently. They say, I don't want you to believe me. I want you to listen and to experience what I'm telling you by yourself. I'm just showing it a way, but you need to go every step by yourself. And that's a big difference for me than everything that I learned from Christianity and from the cultures that I have from here. That is like, this is how it is. Don't question it. Don't work too much around it, because that's what it is. Just believe in God and God will do the rest. I don't believe so. I still don't believe so. I still think that there's a lot of confusion in the religions going on, that we can explore that a little bit further later. But what I want to say is the identity crisis that I had was building up 40 years. It started with the Christianity, of course. It started with me being not Romanian because I'm gone from there. I'm living with the Austrians, but also not fully Austrians because I do behave differently, I talk differently, and so on. And when I was 13, 14, I was part of a group that we were just doing bullshit. We were gangsters, and we were stealing things and smoking weed and things that you should not be doing because you should
You're
be
a child.
Yes, but also things that are criminal and could have caused, and they did cause troubles for me in my life. And it's not that I wanted to steal. It's not that I wanted to be a gangster. I wanted to be someone and part of something. And this group was for me at that time something. Of course, when I was 13, when I was 17, when I was 20, I didn't understand that. I understand that now, looking back to my identity crises. And the ego, if you look at it, the word, what it says, it tries to give you an explanation or an imagination of self, what you are or who you are. And the mind is feeding it and then generating the ego. You have a name, you have a job, you have a location where you're from. Probably you are Irish. I am Austrian or Romanian or European, or this is where the crisis comes in, because you're none of them really. What you actually really are is what you can feel and experience. And nothing else. Everything else is mind stuff. Your mind will start to build an ego and then defend this ego all the time because it's convinced this is who I am and will not let go. That's a bit deep, and I would need way more explanation to that. But I will get to that when we come to the meditation technique that I learned. When we come to Vipassana and all what I have learned through that, we'll get deeper into that. But this is a thing that changed with me. What I have learned only from a few YouTube videos of watching Alan Watts and Eckhart Tolle, it gave me a feeling that this could be the solution for me. I still didn't know. I just had a feeling that this feels better. This feels right. What these guys are saying sounds way more down to earth. They do say stuff like enlightening and we are so much more than we believe and so on. And they even say that we are God, if that will make sense at some point. So it's exactly, it's very extreme of an understanding. That still does make way more sense than the explanation I had previously from the Christians or for the Muslim friends and from how they see the world. Just didn't make sense to me, and I didn't want to believe it. I couldn't believe it. But what the Buddhists are saying and how they approach it, that's way more approachable to me. And that's why I went the path that I went on.
Would you say though now, like when, like I remember actually, I think we were here in the studio and I walked in and you were sitting somewhere here and I just said, what are you doing? You were like, I'm looking into Buddhism. I was like, that's a great idea.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a great idea. You should 100% look into that.
Yeah.
And then, but just back to like the idea of the ego, would you say that when you were in the last stage of like not actually finding a path to follow yet, would you say that you had like not let go of your ego at that stage, but you were willing to let go of it? It was, you were willing to, or change it, or maybe I'm using the word ego wrong in that regard, but like what I mean is, were you ready to just kind of say, no, this doesn't work for me. The Raoul that I am right now doesn't work for me. I remember I was talking to you medically about trying to get you some help. And you were, you weren't the biggest fan of it, but you also, I will give you credit to where credit was due. You also heard me out very well. And you said that, look, if it does ever feel that way, but just let's look down some different options and different paths first.
The reason why I actually rejected it, I had a feeling, I couldn't explain it, I had a feeling that this is not the solution because the addiction is not the problem. I am not addicted.
Yeah,
I have
knew
a
that
mental problem that causes my addiction. But now I have found the reason, and I have found that the mental problem is the thing. And I have at least not let go of my ego. I didn't even understand the ego yet. It was the first time that it came into my mind to actually look into the word. What does it mean? I used it 38 years. I used it the way I thought I have understood it. Have I ever understood it? Up to that moment, no, I didn't, because I really didn't. And many will still not get it. It's very, very difficult to understand it. You can't. Because when we say we understand, we mean that the mind has understood it, has put it into category and has put a label onto it, put the drawer back in and said, this is what it is. And if I ever will need that information back again, I know which drawer to open because then I will get that out of for me.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But that's what the mind cannot do with yourself, because the mind needs some label, something to categorize. But the being is not, that has no end and no beginning. And therefore, it's very difficult to grasp it and to put it into words, and therefore the mind cannot understand it.
Yeah.
To get back to...
I really struggle with these kind of things. I've always struggled with these kind of concepts, I guess.
I think that's very good that you are interviewing me on this because the topic is a difficult one.
Yeah.
It's not easy to understand. It's so simple that it's difficult.
No, I completely disagree with you there, Will. I'm sorry. It is not simple. To me, it's like, who is it that says, just be like water? You know? It's like, oh, it's easy. Just be like water. How the fuck do you be like water? You know, that's kind of the way I see these things. But then I also find it just so unbelievably contradicting in some ways. You know, I'm the biggest critic for a lot of even the path you're on now. I think it's beautiful and I respect it, but I question you a lot on.
Perfectly fine. And I think that it's, as I said before, the mind cannot understand it anyway. Therefore, the discussion that we have now, we could talk for years and we will never reach there because that's why it requires the meditation part. The meditation part is not something that is just to calm you down. It's actually to calm your mind so far down, to force it so far into a calm state that it cannot do anything else than recognize itself, what it actually is. Because then, let me explain what the mind is doing. So the mind is basically creating a self-image of yourself and making it like a mask. Say we have a carnival and you dress up as something. On that day, you are Schneewittchen or Rotkäppchen or whatever.
Schnitzel.
You are what you are dressed on that day, yeah? And the ego is doing that all your life with everything. It's doing that with your job, it's doing that with your friends, it's doing that with your partner, it's doing that with yourself. So it's constantly doing that. When I reached the point when I said, okay, that does not work anymore for me, covering up a new identity, this is the moment when I looked in the mirror and saw eyes that don't match to the body. Do you understand what I mean? It's like I can see in the soul. I can see that what I see in the mirror is not the true me. There's something else deeper inside. And Alan Watts, Buddhism, and Eckhart Tolle have achieved to make me understand what is there and that there is a difference.
Yeah, like it's so pretty and it's so beautiful. And actually, I think the nicest part about everything is the fact that you, like when you were finding out about all of these things, like just to paint the picture, the man is sitting in the studio for hours on end, just doom scrolling information online about possibilities to slow your brain down. That was literally all it was. And I think then that, I think it's important to point out there that at that point you had no idea what you were doing.
Zero.
You didn't know. You were basically putting in a simple Google search of what meditation places could be good.
You know why it's so good? You bring it to the point. I had no idea what I was doing. And that was necessary also to have no idea. Because if I would go into learning something new with a preset mind of, let's say, a Christian or an understanding of the world, what I already think is, but I don't know that, then I'm not ready to learn, actually. So this is what happened when I said, okay, show me, God, if you exist, show me that you exist. Give me something. I'm ready now. I surrender to everything. I let go of all the things that I believe that I know, and I am. And now I'm ready to relearn everything. Just imagine if you would switch off your mind and reset everything you know. You remember when I said, I may be going there somewhere on my path, on my learning, and I may come back as a shoe cleaner because I'm really ready to learn everything about myself. And if shoe cleaning is the thing that gives me a peace of mind and happiness, then I'm ready for it. Because
I do remember you saying that, Jay.
And that was very important for me, to be that open, to be completely open to actually learn something. Otherwise, I couldn't have learned.
Also, can I say that a very beautiful thing started to happen as well around that time, and that was where you became excited for knowledge again. Like, so, say from the moment that I became friendly with you, good friends with you, to this moment. I had seen you really excited about knowledge with wanting to start your own company and stuff. Like I'd seen all of that excitement, but it was numbers and trend based excitement. It wasn't actually just, hey, Laura, did you know? You know, like excitement for just information.
New information, something
New information, yeah.
Not to believe that I know already everything
Yeah.
and I'm just reading a book or I'm just watching a video to confirm what I already know, because this is what I did before.
And I think you also did it in a very friendly way. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe all of this was very subconscious for you. You love being outside and you love nature and stuff like that. And then you started to look at meditation and stuff. And then you started to look at, okay, where can I go for a hike and enjoy the nature around me while I'm also doing my path?
Mm-hmm.
And then that just narrowed your search more and more without you knowing. It was narrowing your direction to where you wanted to go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. I could feel, my senses, of course, being numbed for such a long time. And then the senses start to be active again. I felt more, I started walking barefoot. You remember that was also around that time. I was literally walking barefoot in the city. And
He walked barefoot everywhere.
Everywhere I could. The reason for that is another one. We will get into that.
Look, I have no problem with you being barefoot, especially in summertime. You know, like it's super warm. We were always as well like going places with the dogs who were really dirty and mucky and like, you know, whatever. That doesn't bother me. It's when we're going to like the pub on like a bloody Friday night and Raoul rocks up with no shoes on. I'm like, Raoul, you kind of have to put shoes on.
That is a very good point, what you're saying, because this is also what changed in me. So subconsciously, I did always put a lot on what people thought of me. I convinced myself that I don't care what others think, because I am so arrogant, I would say, that I know that I don't need anybody else's opinion. Deep inside, I was very much looking for confirmation all the time. That was a big problem for me. And what changed is I did not anymore. I did not look. When I surrendered, I was ready to really learn something. And I was opening up, my senses were opening up. And I felt more, hey, nature does me well. I like it. I heard of the idea of being connected to nature. That's why people walk barefoot and got back to our roots and all that stuff. That's a whole, we could make a complete episode just about barefoot walking, because I have learned so much around that time about barefoot walking. When I reached the phase that I understood, I don't like myself anymore. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to end my life. And then suddenly had this moment when I said, okay, I'm ready for it and it's good. I was actually really giving a chance to be ready for it and to learn something new. So I was looking for different things, different ways, be out in nature, maybe try out some kind of religion and stuff like that, listening to others and actually really do that. Re-talk to people that I have previously talked about my issue and re-talked about it now from a different perspective, with a different mindset, with a different intention.
Yeah, you made some nice connections with people that you hadn't spoke to in years.
Exactly.
You realized that, you know, oh, hey, I may not have been fully 100% in the right here. Doesn't mean I'm in the wrong.
Not at all.
It means that person doesn't have to be a prick. Do you know what I mean? In order for you to live your life.
Yeah. And so what I did then is I reached out to plenty of people who I thought maybe has an idea of how I can approach my healing, learning, whatever I need to do so I can do something else. I did know that I need my time now. So I needed maybe 3 to 6 months or so. And by the way, just before I wanted to end my life, I opened my company. And therefore, I had a lot of pressure still in my head. I need to perform. But very early on, and maybe even on the first day when we talked about this, when I opened up towards you, you said, you can't build up a company now.
You can't.
You need to let go of the thought now.
Yeah.
You need time for yourself. And that is true. I was really taking that advice. It came very deep that I could really feel it. Okay, this is really true. I really need to take time for myself now. Because
I said you were going to mask. I
Yeah.
said, if you go forward with this, you're only going to mask your feelings again,
Yeah.
and you're going to fail, and then you're going to be exactly in this position again in a couple of years
Yeah.
time.
So yeah, I immediately got out
Yeah.
of my head that I will build up immediately something again. I now need to take the time and to be there for myself. So my focus went from everything around the world, wars, financial crises, blah blah blah, to me, just me.
Yeah.
Everything that I am, that I can control, everything that I think, and so on. These were my things and my topics in life. So my focus went there. And I started even, I registered on a Buddhist center here in Vienna, and I started my first meditation practices. Every Tuesday, 7 p.m., I went for a meditation practice and some teaching and so on. And it felt right. It felt good.
I would also say, there was a very much so, just like for the audience to understand, like this guy didn't go from 0 to 100 overnight. I remember during this time as well, when you were really trying to get connected with yourself and wholesome and with nature, you also went shopping. And during that time, you didn't buy your typical Raoul clothes. You bought like Hawaiian shirts and fun stuff, like just.
It was something of not directly functional or doesn't have to have a purpose. It's just something I like.
Yeah.
You remember in the first episode, I said that when I lost the job and Ella, my ex, suddenly I found myself being rich, having all the time I need and can do whatever I want. And then I found myself like, I don't even know what I want. That's the problem. I have always had something to work towards and to build something up, and therefore I was always projecting my happiness into the future. And what I learned at that time is like, I live now. I want to have now the experience, and if I want to try out some pink shirt for the very first time, which is a Hawaiian style, then I do that now.
Yeah, and that energy was oozing off you. And also, I think it's a very good point to say that it wasn't oozing off you always in a very positive way. Like, you were having your ups and downs, but you were still wearing your pink Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you were trying and you were still walking with no shoes on because you felt it was important. And you didn't really care. Like, I used to. Myself and Maria were laughing at you all the time over not having shoes on. But I don't think you ever felt it was in a bad or manner, It was just...
And you know what also changed? I didn't care anymore. Like, it may sound extreme, but I didn't care anymore because I didn't need the confirmation from outside anymore to feel okay.
Yeah, to feel good about it.
To feel just okay.
Yeah.
Because before I felt bad.
Yeah.
And now just to feel okay, I didn't need anybody anymore. I somehow felt like, maybe that sounds a bit extreme, but that I'm given the right things or being in the right path, and it felt safe somehow. Like I did the right thing. Now I need to do a lot of work, but still it felt safe. It felt right. It felt I'm in the right place somehow, or I'm going the right direction. Even though I still didn't know that I'm going to go for a Vipassana course, I still didn't know anything about, by the way, Nepal and all that coming. I didn't really know. I somehow had a feeling. And then I started to talk with people from the past also. And there's one religious teacher of mine that he became a close friend. Now he's 60-something, he's entering pension. But he was the only one I ever listened to when it came to ethnicity or religion, because he approached that thing in a completely different way than all the other teachers that I had known. And I reached out to him, and he said, Raoul, what I think you should be doing is what I did 30 years ago. And he was saying that he went for a meditation for 30 days or so, completely retreat. 10, 12 hours a day or so, he said. And I was like, that's not for me. You know me, I'm all over the place, and I'm very active. I can't even sit 1 minute. How do you think I can sit 30 days every day, half a day? So no, I immediately rejected the idea, and he's very wise. He just smiled, he was like, time will show. And then I reached out to friends of mine who I knew from Saudi Arabia, from India, and so on, from my past life. who I thought can help me somehow in the spiritual question or in somehow psychological. And there's this Indian friend of mine who said, you should reach out to my Nepali friend. He had also this issue. He's a Christian, but actually his religion is Hinduism and so on. And he found to Vipassana. This is the first time I heard about Vipassana. And I was like, okay, let me look into it. So I Googled it and looked it up and then I watched the YouTube video. And the thought of sitting for 10 days, that's the basic course, sitting 10 days for 10 hours and meditating. That was such a scary thought for me that I can't do that. I thought I just won't be able to do it. And I don't even think it makes sense. It will help me because still my mind was trying to understand at that time. And I said, no, this is not going to be. So I'm still looking. And I was looking, but somehow I felt like Buddhism is something. So I'm going this area, India, Nepal, Himalayas. And then somehow it was narrowed down already to, I want to go to Nepal.
Yeah, this all happened again in the space of 48 hours, I'd say. I think the Vipassana thing, it was there for a while. And then it was like Nepal became a conversation very quickly. And then, and because I was laughing at you, I was like, fucking, here we go, typical fucking Raoul. If he's going to do something, he's going to do it
extreme.
Extreme. I want to do a Vipassana thing. I'm going to go to the heart of it. I'm going to go to Nepal and sit in the Himalayan mountains, find a Yeti and have a cup of tea with a goat. Like, do you know?
Yeah. But that is the thing. That's why this worked for me. I never accept, even now, still not half truth. I want to really go to the source, to very, very deep. And Vipassana was giving me the promise that I can do that for you. Or it can give me the answer, the solution, a way of life. It's not something that you go there, you come back, you're healed, everything is fine. You throw in a pill like the Westerners would think. No, you learn a technique there. You learn how to restructure your life so that you actually are in a happy state all the time. And that's a huge promise. And they don't ask for anything. Just be ready and come there. Commit. That's what they ask for. Commit to these 10 days. That if you get there, that you don't start after 4 days. Oh, it's too hard for me. I want to get out. Commit and do it. And then it will work for you. And this was so scary for me because I love the freedom. I love the freedom of speech, the moving, the mind, everything. I'm allowed to do whatever I want. To commit to Vipassana sounded for me very, very scary. So I dropped that thought and I was like, no, something else. Yeah? And I looked around and somehow I got into doing something good for your soul, doing something voluntarily. And then I found an organization that is doing volunteering work in Nepal. So I found one that is offering like a 2 weeks of monastery time where you volunteer on teaching English. With me, it was teaching English, but then it became mathematics. And then also doing for like to reward yourself or to go out in nature, doing a trek. So I found that very interesting, like going on a 2 weeks monastery retreat and then doing 2 weeks of a trek. That was very interesting. And I was caught up on the idea already.
I remember, because I work with kids, and you were sending me pictures and messages and stuff over there, and I think you got a whole different level of respect for how much energy I need every day. Yeah. But you're like, it's great. It's great. Yeah. They're so funny. It's great. They gave you a bit of oomph in your soul, I think.
Oh, very much. And I don't even want to go to Nepal yet in this episode. I still want to build it up how I got there. Because I think the whole meditation retreat, being in Nepal, Vipassana can be the third episode then.
I think it's big enough for it to be.
Yeah.
Like I think, for the audience and everybody listening, it might feel like we're going from one moment in time to the next moment in time, but everything happened very quickly, I would say. And I think it's important to point out that it was happening and you just went with it. It didn't happen easily. You just went with it. You were like, okay.
I trusted. I
Yeah.
didn't know what is dragging me directly to Nepal. And Hans told me, the spiritual teacher that told me about Vipassana, Hans told me, don't you want to just, do something here? And I didn't know why. I rejected everybody saying, stay here, do something else. I'm like, no, I want to go to Nepal. Somewhat is
I said you
dragging
should
me
go.
there. You said you should go.
Yeah.
You should, if this is how you feel, then you should go.
You should go.
And I went. But yeah, and I knew Nepal is gonna be. I knew that I'm gonna go on a retreat, monastery, do some voluntary work, feel good for my soul, go out in nature, feel good, doing what you said before as well. That I experienced. I learned that about myself, that I really love being out in nature and do hikes. So that was clear for me. But Vipassana was still somehow very silently always popping up and saying, don't you want to look into that? So I was looking into it, but always coming to the conclusion that, no, this is not for me. This is too scary. And at one point I reached when I said, you know what? If that scares the shit out of me so much, this is the right thing. Maybe I should do exactly that. Because this is something that I learned from another one. I reading his books and so on. He said that this is exactly when you are so scared about something, maybe you should do that, because your body is showing you something. You react to it, and I reacted to it, and wow, no way. But maybe that's exactly what I needed. And now looking at it afterwards, looking back at it totally made sense, because I needed to let go of everything I believe is there, and therefore to just blindly trust and surrender that I don't need to control, I don't need to understand it, and then it will work.
How long was it actually from the moment that you first researched and Googled Vipassana for the first time, and from when you were standing in Nepal?
So that was almost 2 months. In August, mid-August was the moment when I let go. Week 2, when I started researching a little bit into Buddhism and stuff. Week 3, 4, something like this is when I heard of Vipassana the first time. And then it was 3-4 weeks in my head, even though I decided already for Nepal. And in October, yes, I flew out. And maybe 2 weeks before flying out, I booked the Vipassana course. It was 3-4 weeks in my head, always playing around. And always rejected, and at some point I felt like, okay, I need to go, and I reread the discipline and everything, and got more scary and more scary. But at some point I said, okay, I'm gonna do this. I talked to many people about it now. I have some information. Everybody, by the way, Vipassana, this is the only thing that I'd never heard anything bad about it. Who has done it? Who has experienced it? That's the only thing that I only had positive things. And the positive things are not just like, oh, it's going to make you feel nice for a week. No, the positive things you hear is like, this changed my life. From that time on, and I'm another one, I'm saying the same thing, this and other things, but this
I am
also
the other things, by the way.
changed my life to the better. Of course, it changed, and it was very good for me. And it's something that is like it's filling the whole life. It's not something that you just do and then you are ready for the next 3 months or so. You need to actually live it. It's an art of living. Vipassana is an art of living. It's not just a meditation technique. But yeah, it's very, very basic, and it's really trying to not make it easy for you. So meditation techniques, there are plenty out there. There's one that is imagining a form. There's another one that counts. The other one says mantras and so on. All that is basically easing in, so that you don't sit with the silence, because your mind is active all the time. So it needs something to do. If you count, your mind is busy and it lets you alone. It doesn't try to escape from counting because it has something to do. Vipassana is trying to do nothing, just observe. And that's the most difficult part. That is afterwards, after having done it, after having talked with people about it, they said this is the king's class. Like there's nothing higher than this technique that you can do, because you're trying to actively not think at all. And it is, yeah. And that was so scary for me, because I'm used to talk a lot and to be loud and to travel a lot and all that. So to be sitting in one place for 10 days was such a scary thing for me.
It's a hard thing. It's a hard thing even for my mind to get around, you know?
Just so for the audience, maybe also to understand what it is, I'm giving you 1 day. So the explanation before you sign up to it, you read about how the day is going to be, what benefits it has, what you're not allowed to do. So you're not allowed to bring even cigarettes. You're not allowed to smoke. You're not allowed to drink alcohol or bring something. Anyway, you don't have time. You're not allowed even to read. So you shouldn't influence your mind by stuff that you're reading. You're not allowed to do any rituals that you're usually doing. If you are a Christian and you pray every night to God, please, these 10 days, we ask you to not do that. So that's a very clear commitment. They ask you for 10 days to really give this thing a chance. If you're thinking of different things like your Islam prayers or your Christian prayers and so on, then you're affected by things from other sources. Just give it 10 days. That's what they ask for. And in the 10 days, you wake up at 4. 4:30, you meditate, 2 hours. Then you have 5 minutes break. You can walk a little bit in silence. The whole meditation retreat is pure silence. And it's not only spoken silence, it's mimics silence. It's even a gesture. Thank you. When somebody opens the door for you, you don't open the door for anyone. You don't do this. The reason for that is that they try to get you in a state where you feel by yourself. You are there for yourself, by yourself, to learn something for yourself, about yourself. And therefore, you need to be focused on yourself only. And therefore, you don't speak to others, you don't exchange, and you just deal with yourself, with your mind, with the stuff that is coming up from your mind. Because there is stuff coming up from your mind.
It's a beautiful way of, it's a beautiful way of thinking, you know, that, hey, we're just getting you to just stop and focus on you. And that's kind of the key to it. Yeah.
So, it's like just the schedule. When you read the schedule, and you need to commit to it, that you actually meditate. Like me, I haven't done any 10 minutes meditation before that. In Vienna, yes, as I registered to the Buddhist circle here, and then I did 10 minutes, 10 minutes guided meditation. That means someone is talking to you. That means that your mind is still active because you're listening to something. And Vipassana was like, no, just sit 1 hour sessions, sometimes 2 hour sessions in one shot. And you do exactly nothing. You don't even think. And that goes on till like 9 p.m. And all you read on the schedule is like group meditation, meditation in your room, meditation, some other meditation. And then you think like there's an exchange. When you're actually there, it all means exactly that. Sit on this one spot, 1 hour. Even if it's a group meditation, doesn't matter for you. It means exactly the same thing. You sit on this one spot, you don't do anything, then meditate, actively meditate. So that was very, very scary for me to sign up for it. But once I signed up, the feeling of this being right got more and more confirmed. Like I don't know how to explain it. I even looked into. I usually do a lot of research when I'm on something, like you said, like I put my energy on it, and then I know everything about it.
Completely obsessed.
100% obsessed. I watch every YouTube video that is out there about Vipassana experiences, stuff. I watched the guy who is teaching now Vipassana, Goenka. I watched him talking on the World Peace Summit, and what he said to the world leaders was like, wow. He just has the courage to say to all of them into their face that what you guys are doing is not right. That's why it doesn't work. But we have a solution. You should just try to listen once.
You just sit in one place and meditate for an hour.
Kind of. Yeah. So the reason why this works, I will go deeper into it when we go into the Vipassana, because it deals with mind. It deals with ego, and it deals with the topic of self. So I kind of get a feeling that this is going to give me the satisfaction that I was looking for all my life into the world of how I see it, that gives me peace of mind that I can let go.
Yeah, I get that.
And it was, in the end, it was that. I don't know why I felt it, but it felt good.
Yeah. I also have to say that from the moment that you started to speak to me about it, like, because I am your biggest critic in life. I'm the first person to say no to you. I'm the first person to say, no, don't be stupid. But from the moment that you started to talk about Buddhism, you started to talk about meditation, mindfulness, it felt right for me even hearing you
Mm.
talk about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Even though it was a very different thing than who you were even 2 weeks before that. It was completely different. But it was very familiar in an unfamiliar way. Very familiar.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah.
No idea. I have never been to Asia. I don't know why, but it felt so warm, so cozy, so familiar, so safe to go to Nepal and do a Vipassana. Me, never have meditated before.
Yeah.
Maybe we can explore a little bit more. I do need to touch on Vipassana in order to explain that why this worked, because my whole world perspective changed from that. What Vipassana is doing differently than the Christian religion or the Western perspective is exactly the understanding of yourself and your ego. And therefore, if you once understand that you are part of something bigger and you yourself are not as you believe yourself to be, then things change, because then there is no more competition.
You're a tiny piece of a growing organism.
Yes.
And you and your own thoughts, you weren't even even watching you when you're here, you're moving your hands, you're still a little bit fidgety, but that had to stop when you were there. It was just you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Vipassana is the most beautiful thing that I have done, and the hardest thing that I have done in my life. It's difficult because it's so simple. Just sit. Just don't think anything. That's the simplicity of it. And then the rest will turn out automatically. But that's also the difficulty, because we, and especially in the economic strong countries and environments, which is the West, I would say, our mind is always busy and always have something to do.
We're told we're idle when we sit.
And when you then sit, it just feels so unnatural.
Yeah.
You feel guilty. I should be doing something. Why am I wasting my time just sitting 10 minutes doing nothing?
Or even when we sit, we watch TV and stuff. Like, that's not actually sitting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually not sitting, because you still give your mind food to think of something. And that was that is a difference. Yeah, that's something that I couldn't. I'm an action taker. I want to take action. And not taking action, just sitting, seemed so off to me. It seemed so weird. I want to actively learn. I want to actively listen and write stuff down.
Tell me, how am I getting better if I can't actually see it or do it or move or
Exactly.
get it or throw it or catch it? Yeah.
But then again, a very important reminder is that for 38 years, I tried to solve my issues and my problems with my mind, and it didn't work. And I am intelligent. I'm not an idiot. I do have an understanding for things that most people don't have, and I'm very proud of that. But the approach has changed now. Now I have learned to use that differently than before. Before, I was using it to strengthen my ego and to boost my ego just to how amazing I am, how much knowledge I have, and everybody else is an idiot. And I'm sorry, but this is how I was. And that's why it also didn't work, because that's just not true. It's not the reality. And Vipassana said, you know what I mean? Vipassana explained itself in a way that I will show you the reality, but you need to do one thing. Give me 10 days of your life and really give them to me. Surrender to all that you think you know and come with a complete free mind. Vipassana does not let you smoke, does not let you drink, does not let you, does all this stuff. And you need to commit to 5 rules. You will not lie. You will not steal. You will not kill. You will not intoxicate yourself. And what else was there? A wrong mind. So think something badly, create negative energies.
I have a question for you. Where do you feel you were in line with all of those things when you made the booking to go to Vipassana? Because I think what most people struggle with, Rahul, is not knowing if they can do something, or because I don't think you were in line with any of those things when you went. You just wanted to be in line with them.
I wanted to. I like to do things myself, and I like to have the responsibility over that. I don't have a problem with being responsible for my own life. I think everybody should and everybody is, but there's a wrong belief in many people that somebody else is responsible for my finances, for my safety, like police, government, and all that. I don't. I don't think that we need all of these institutions. I think if people would be stronger and more intelligent and more responsible, then we would have a better life in general. And what Vipassana was showing to me is that, yes, Raul, you're right, but you need to learn something. You need to learn something about yourself that only you can do. We will show you the technique, and that will solve all your problems in life, even if you don't understand it now. And that's a huge promise to say it will solve all your problems in life. All you need to do is commit 10 days.
Mm.
And that was so extreme for me, because it's like, wait, you're not solving my problems. You're giving me the tools to solve my own problems. That sounds logic.
Mhm.
That's very good, because what the Christians were doing before was saying, well, get on your knees, pray to God, He's going to solve your problems. It's not going to happen. And until now, I say it's not going to happen, because even though I am now even open to Christianity and to all the religions, I can tell you guys, I learned that many have misunderstood a lot of stuff from the Bible or from Christianity or from Islam and from the Buddhism as well, unfortunately. People just misunderstand it. Minds misunderstand this stuff because we have all the same problem, that our minds are active and trying to make egos and trying to make identities.
The reality of absolutely everything is that if you receive any form of information, a lot of the time it's what's it called? Subjective.
Mhm.
Because you can always make up your own subjective conclusion to the information.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that the person that gives you the information is right or wrong. It just means it's up to you for your own interpretation. So I think that that's one of the biggest things that does actually happen with ourselves and religion and all of those things, is that we misinterpret something because we want it to be that way. It's like we read a certain. I've never read the Bible, so this is not me preaching as any form of knowledge in anything, but I just kind of feel in general that, you read an excerpt from the Bible and it's like, yeah, you don't have sex before marriage. It's like, because the person that read that's what they got from it. But maybe it's
Exactly
something else,
and that's exactly the point. That's what I think went so wrong with many, if not all, religions out there. That is a misinterpretation, and then of course people just talk what they think that they understood, and they copy that. Even if it's a mistake, they copy that and tell it to others, and then
they standardize it. They standardize it, and then it's not up for interpretation anymore.
Yeah, and what Vipassana is, why it works for me, and I think it works for everybody. I don't think everybody needs to go exactly the same path or at the same stage in their lives, but at one point, I think it would work for everybody if they try. I did see, though, examples of people going for Vipassana who hadn't had a need. So if there's no problem to solve, you will not see the effect of it, because there's no problem to solve. You know what I mean? Like if you always, I don't know how to say, you always have a good sight, right? And then somebody gives you glasses where you can see well. They're like, well, I didn't have a problem. I don't know what you mean with this thing works. Yeah,
it's made my sight worse, because
actually it made it even worse.
Yeah.
So you get my point,
Yeah.
right? If somebody is healthy mentally and they already live in a good and happy way, then there is no problem to solve. So if you go there, you're not going to solve any problem, probably. But those who have a problem, and usually, like, Vipassana is not something that is showing on your Instagram feed because it's advertised. Not at all. Those who are searching for reasons, they're searching for solutions, they will probably find to Vipassana. And Vipassana is making very, very strong efforts into it staying like this. That's how it's pure. That's how they say also the teaching is pure. They don't charge money for it, by the way. If they would charge money for it, the interest is different. The interest is getting the money. So they make the course according to you paying the money. Therefore, they don't charge money. They said, this is the pure teaching, and the pure teaching is always for free. And a friend of mine went there because he thought it would work for him. And I was having a bad feeling about it, but I didn't really tell him because he said he wants to go. And he after 5-6 days or so, he left because it was just not for him. He was not at the
Or the right time.
not the right time now. Yeah, whatever. But I would never have suggested to him. He came up with the idea. He thought maybe it's cool to do that as well, and I explained to him as much as I could that how difficult this all is, and like what it actually is like you're sitting there with yourself. There's no way you can escape. If mind thinks, if a thought comes that you feel guilty about something you did 3 weeks ago, 15 years back, whatever, you can't escape. In normal life, you can always escape. You talk to a friend, you explain why at that time this was justified for you to be a complete asshole. But what I'm trying to say, like, you have easy escapes. You can, let me say, yesterday I said something bad to Maria. And now I'm talking to you about it. I'm justifying. What I'm actually doing is just calming my own mind
nerves,
to think that it was okay that I was an asshole. No, it was just not okay. And Vipassana forces you into that state where you cannot escape because you can't run from yourself and you can't lie to yourself. You can, if you let your mind take over. But in Vipassana, that's exactly what they're doing. They separate you from your mind, and then you can observe your mind, what it does, and then you're like, hey, wait a second, are you doing this against me as well? Because that's...
I thought you were on my team.
Exactly. That's a realization. If you have this realization and you think, hey, wait a second, how many more people are affected by this? And when you look around, you see that everybody is. Everyone is. And we have understood it or accepted it to be our norm. That's why we think it's normal. It's normal that everybody drinks these days. It's normal that everybody is just very egoistic. It's normal that everybody thinks just for themselves and all this stuff. It's not. We have accepted it to become our norm.
We make a norm.
We make
Society
a norm out of it,
makes norms.
But our normal, natural state that I would call it is how Jesus was, or how God is, how we imagine God, or how Buddha was. Just loving everybody and sharing the best information that you can, free of charge with everybody.
Yeah, and being good to the planet.
Being good to yourself, to everybody around you, to the planet, to everything, because you have understood yourself not as a separate self, but as one with everything. And if you understand this oneness, like, doing harm to your neighbor would mean that you're doing harm to yourself because you are part of this oneness.
But yeah, it's like, you don't want it done to you, so don't do it to your neighbor.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And so you're reading about all of these things and you're saying, okay, this sounds really good to me. You book your ticket on a scale of 1 to 10. How scared were you to get on that plane?
Oh, zero.
Zero.
Yeah. I was excited. I was nervous. I was maybe scared. Maybe a little bit scared of failure, that this is not going to solve my issue, because that would be very problematic for me, Like 38 years doing wrong, wanting to end my life, then somehow, finding a solution that doesn't work, that would be very dramatic for me if it wouldn't have worked. So, of course, that
I'm going to have to fucking listen to Laura and get medicated.
I'm going to have to do what she suggested from the beginning and actually do a what do you call it? Rehab.
Yeah.
No,
no, but just to throw it out to the audience, I didn't want him to go for like I think I was the very first person to say to you, I don't think you're addicted to anything. I wanted you to go to a psychological rehab where you would go for 6 weeks, and every single person in that place is there to try and make you feel healthier. And that was my only thing. I was like, I'd like this.
And I totally understand it, because from that perspective, it may have looked like this can be the solution for my problem, and probably not seeing what my problem actually was, because only I knew very deep inside. I only started to open up towards you first and saying, look, this is my weakest moment now and I'm opening up. But I did feel like rehab is not going to work for me in that sense. Let's put it the other way around. I did go on a rehab. I went on my own rehab. My own rehab was the one that I put with Vipassana, with hiking, with monastery work, volunteering and so on. And that felt like, okay, this is going to be my rehab, my out time from this world here that didn't make me happy or I'm not feeling happy in. This is my rehab. And I very much hope that I can learn from Vipassana and from what I get in Nepal so much in my life that I can live from then on a happy life. Of course, here, even though that may look now that I'm actually so much present still in Nepal that I'm just escaping here. But again, also in the first episode, I mentioned it very clearly. I have not healed completely. I'm still in this stage where I'm healing. I'm learning a lot of things. And also with Vipassana, I have learned to be calmer and to observe my mind very often. Does it mean I'm observing constantly my mind? No. Very often it happens that my mind goes somewhere and I just notice it after 2-3 hours. Like, oh, where was my thinking actually? Then I'm like, here is life right now. And it's always here right now. And that is actually the very key learning for me, that life is just here always, not right now. But the mind is going somewhere. How nice it was in the past, how amazing it's going to be in 2 weeks, and so on. And that's okay to some extent, as long as the mind is not starting to attack you. And the mind does start to attack you at some point. And especially when it recognizes that. So it is difficult to understand yourself away from your mind, but your mind is not you. And,
I know that, yeah.
And if you separate that and you understand that your mind wants to survive, like everything natural wants to survive. Every human being, every being wants to survive. Also, Satan, the bad energy, wants to survive. And also the mind, who is knowing or aware that it's doing a false sense of self for you, still wants to survive. When you start a tiny little lie, and this tiny little lie, to cover this story, you need to give another lie and then another lie to cover up that story, because you started from the very, very beginning to already make a lie. Now, this is what the mind is doing. The mind knows that the identity it has given to you is wrong, because it's just a made-up thing. It knows it's made up because it made it itself. So it's aware of it being fake, your ego. When you start recognizing this problem and you start working against it, what do you think the mind is doing? The mind will defend itself and will justify that it's right to do that, because it's good for you to have an identity. It's good for you to have an ego, to have an understanding of self. And therefore, what I'm doing, the mind, is good. Why are you attacking me now? You get my point?
I'm the good guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's trying to really be... But the thing is that it's all fake. What the mind is it's there to help you. And if it doesn't help you, then you are the one steering it in the right direction. And then at some point you need to take control over it. That's what Vipassana does. Vipassana gives you the tool to know how to use your mind for your own benefit, and not just let it do whatever it does, because that's what it actually is doing a lot. It's just going somewhere, as long as you don't stop it from doing automatic mode.
Do you know what I'm looking forward to? The next episode, when we get into that.
Very much, very much. In the next episode, I do want to go deep into what is the teaching of Vipassana. What is this art of living of Vipassana, and how it has also changed my life. How do I implement this into my life, and all that. So I do want to cover that. And of course, make the whole episode around, because it's not only Vipassana, it's Vipassana plus the surroundings, what happened to me in Nepal, what happened during the monastery time, and so on. I think we can cover that pretty much. Maybe I skip the part when I get back to actually Hans, who suggested to me Vipassana from the very beginning, when I said, no, this is not for me.
No, you said about
and then
that
after,
too, yeah.
But after a few weeks, when I actually decided to Vipassana, saying to him, hey, Hans, I am actually going for Vipassana, exactly what you suggested to me, but I have found it through a different way. And that maybe also shows something about
the universe.
The universe, yeah. The universe knew a way for me that I didn't understand at the time. And it was sending it to me through Hans. And then Hans, okay, I didn't listen to it. Okay, it was sending me through another one. And then at some point it was still in my head, and then I decided for it. So some of the things that needed to be done are done by someone else. Maybe the Christian would say God is helping you, sending you angels and all that stuff. Great.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very good.
Thank you.
Boom!
Shift happens.